It's a great pleasure to be here today. When people ask me what do I do for a living, it's very simple. I'm a corporate marriage counselor. I just help companies fall in love and stay in love with their customers. Not a simple thing, I must tell you. During the dating, which is also known as the sales process, everybody's in love, not a problem at all. Then they get together, and that's when the problem starts. And they start calling each other names. I have a client who called their customers inventory. I thought that was a lovely name, considering they are financial services and they have no inventory whatsoever. But I said, no, we work with inventory. And I said, really? And what do you do with the inventory? And they said, well, we liquidate them. And I thought that is really a nice path for a great relationship. It's going to take us a long, long way. Today's customer, if we look at it, is actually an individual. And what we have seen is the web accentuating individualization in ways that we have never seen before. In ways that customers today are saying, I'm a single person with 3 friends in Slovenia, 1 in Estonia, 1 in Taipei, and that's it. That's my community. You want to talk to me? Talk to me my way. Talk to me my language. Talk to me my colors. Talk to me my songs. When we look at the iPod phenomena, by the way, that what makes the iPod phenomena so powerful is not because people see themselves as iPod users. What people define themselves is actually by their list of songs. Their list of songs is uniquely theirs. Their list of songs is what they want, and nobody else have that list of songs. I was about a couple of weeks ago speaking at a conference in Atlanta. It was a conference for salespeople of a large software company. And interestingly enough, the company was so lavishly treating their salespeople that they, you have all the pop, all the Coke, it's Atlanta, you have to have Coke, of course. All the Coke, all the Sprites, everything you want. In fact, the company managed to sneak into Atlanta some Pepsi, for those who likes it. In Atlanta, it's prohibited drink. It's almost prohibition when it comes to Pepsi. And they had free coffee of wide variety. And then I entered the building. It was in the convention center. And I noticed this snaking line, very long line. And I asked my host, I said, well, where's this line going to? Because here's all the drinks and here's all the stuff. He said, well, that's the Starbucks line. I said, why? Are you expensing? He said, no. They were told very clearly, no expenses of Starbucks. And yet they went to Starbucks. When the coffee was there, the Pepsi was there, and everything else was there. And they were willing to pay the extra Starbucks cup. And the question is why? They get all the caffeine that they want free of charge right here. And the answer is 19,000 variations of Starbucks. So you believe that your cup is the only cup. It's not about coffee. It's about individualization. It's about how you make me special and different than the rest of those customers that you've seen. We are all familiar with Facebooks, right? All familiar with Facebook? That's where our customers are going and accentuating who they are. Well, guess what? A lot of customers don't even like Facebook anymore. We got a whole new wave through Ning. If you haven't checked that one, there is a dedicated social network for hamster lovers. Apparently, they don't feel that they belong with the rest of the world. They need to be on their own. And right next to them, there is another social network for mustache lovers. People who love mustache. So those who grow it, those who touch it, those who loves it. And then on top of it are my favorite, the nerd finders. You can all join with joining people who actually embrace their nerdiness, and they are proud of it, and they want to be part of it. And my absolute favorite is the social anxiety network. It's basically for people who have anxiety from joining a social network. They have their own network as well. So all in all, we are seeing our customers pushing and accentuating their individualism in a way that we haven't seen before. We can no longer apply the one-size-fits-all. And the question is, how do we relate to that individualism, and how do we engage with them emotionally? Because that's the next area that we're going to deal with. So as we are seeing the movement right now in terms of how we need to connect to our customers, we need to move from broad to precise. We need to know more about our customers. Some of you in the B2B are saying, you know what, Lior, that's more like in B2C. Let me tell you a story. In Excellence Every Day, I brought the story of Deluxe Financial Services. They were facing a crisis that many of you are facing as well in different degrees, which is commoditization. Deluxe Financial Services manufacture checks. If you think there is a business in problem, it's probably checks. How many checks do you actually write today? A lot of the things are done online. And they're looking and saying, how are we going to differentiate? And the answer is, there's not much to differentiate. People are not using your products. It's just going that way. The trends are very clear. And what Deluxe Financial Services have done, they've actually redefined their business. And they said, we're no longer in the checks business. We're going to be in the banking lead generation business. And they actually use their call center as a way to help their customers generate leads. Now, they took it all the way to the point that they actually bid on outsourcing projects with financial services like everyone else. What's their differentiation factor? Very interesting. They go and research what is the favorite music of the decision makers. And then they create a burned CD with those. When people come for a visit in their office, they color the whole office in the colors of that bank. They make the precise a matter of how do I engage with the individuals who are making decisions as people. Not as a wallet, not as a budget, not as bank executives, but as individuals. We need to move from the broad to the precise. We need to move from the shallow to the deep, and that's going to bring us a certain challenge. We today handle our customers in a very shallow way. We know a very limited number of pieces of information about them. We're not going all the way deep. And in order to have depth, we might have to let go some customers who are not so profitable and focus on the ones that are worth it, and we're going to go deeper in relationship and understanding them. And then we have to move from transactionals to relationship. Ask yourself, when you go to a customer, what's your plan for the next 3 years? How much are you going to sell to that customer afterwards? Most of us don't even know. We think about closing the quarter. We think about focusing on that specific transaction and getting it done as opposed to saying, this is my 3-year plan. When I was working at HP, I was heading one of their software divisions. I had a very interesting practice along the lines of precise versus broad. And I would actually, when I interviewed salespeople, I had one qualifying question. And the qualifying question was, when do you walk away from a deal? And at that point, the salespeople were sure that this is one of those tricky questions that's supposed to determine how stubborn they are. So they started with these fairy tales. You know, once upon a time, they kicked me out of the door. I came back from the window. When there was no window, I built a chimney, and then I never leave the room until I get the deal. I said, stop, what do you think you're selling? We can sell to everyone. That's a broad relationship. We can be precise. We can spend the time with customers. We need to focus on the right customers. And then we established the day, which we called the no-no day. Great practice for all of you in CRM. On the no-no day, I would sit down with the VP of sales, and we'll look at the worst deals that we have, and we send their salespeople on that day. They are not allowed to book anything. We send them straight to fire those customers. They would go to the customer and say, sir, thank you very much for the business. We are here to withdraw our RFP. We're no longer interested in doing business with you. By the way, here's the phone number of Compaq and IBM. Please call them. This is your local salesperson. The customer said, what? I said, we're not interested in your business. And by the way, from now on, when we go out to a bar, you have to pay yourself because you're no longer on the expense account. I think that was more painful for some of them. But they were shocked and they started to say, why are you doing that? Let's talk. And we said, look, it's not a win-win for us. It's a win for you. But there's no budget. There's no committee. You are yet to finish your pilot, which is taking 3 years already, and we know the product is in production, but you're still claiming that it's in pilot. We can do it. It's not win-win for us. It's a win for you. And the customers will say, come on, let's talk, come back. And my salespeople will say, sorry, but today I'm actually getting paid to remove you from the pipeline. And they were shocked. They're paying you to remove me from the pipeline? Yes, they are. That's how much we think about you. 50% of them came back on our terms. 50% of them came back on our terms. The rest of them went to the competition. And we loved it. Because we can then focus precisely on the right customers and go deeper in relationship and not transactional. By the way, at the beginning, IBM thought that we lost our mind. After 12 months, IBM started to qualify anyone that called them out of the blue and said, how did you get my number? And they would say, well, kind of like, I got your number from HP. Well, thank you. We're not interested either. They started to learn that process.